There is a pattern I've noticed in men who change their lives. They go quiet, they pull back, not to run away from the world, but to finally face themselves. They narrow in on one thing that matters, and they build around it until it becomes real. Sometimes that means losing touch with people. Sometimes it means saying no to things that used to matter. But it always means silence, the type that forces clarity. Because when you're alone with no distraction, you are left with only one thing, the truth. And the truth has a way of confronting you when there is no noise to cover it. I've never really struggled with knowing what I wanted. That part was always clear to me. What used to confuse me wasn't the future. It was whether I believed I could actually build it. But looking back, I don't think most people are confused. When someone says I don't know what I want, what they usually mean is I know what it takes and I'm not ready to do it. It's not that they can't see the parts, it's just that they are avoiding the friction. Because deep down, they already know what they don't want. They know they are tired of being average, tired of wasting energy, second-guessing themselves, tired of their own excuses. And from that alone, it becomes pretty clear what you have to do. In my own case, it was very simple. I needed to stop hiding behind overthinking and build on what I could control. My structure, my habits, my strengths. And I don't mean just physical strength. I mean the kind of strength that makes you feel clear in the mirror. And this wasn't about six-packs or strict diets. It was about coming back to the body and mindset that could carry what I wanted to build. What that means was I had to get honest about the routine that weren't working. About the way I was eating, not just what, but why. About how I saw myself when nobody else was around. It took me years, a lot of missteps, but eventually it clicked. And guess what? I used writing and teaching as leverage and shared what works. I trained smarter, I learned to eat without tracking every crumb. I also focused on consistency more than intensity. And the truth is, once you start showing up for yourself every day, even in small ways, the world opens up in ways you didn't expect. And again, what nobody tells you is that changing your body is just the beginning. What really shifts is your mind, and that shift touches everything else. And it's exactly the part most people can't see but they can feel. The way you walk into rooms, the way you respond under pressure, the way you say no to things that used to own you. And it all comes from that foundation, that slow, private rebuild. Most men know that some version of this is their part. Maybe it doesn't look the same on the surface, but the instinct is there. To get stronger, to get leaner, to get clearer, to stop drifting and start deciding. But guess what? They get stuck because their mind is pulled in 10 different directions. The distractions are louder than the vision. So they move from one thing to the next, reacting instead of building. They don't even realize the cost of staying in motion but not moving forward. So the question is, what would it look like if you had one system to refer back to when life gets blurry? And this is not a plan that tells you what to eat to lose 5 pounds. This should be a system that reminds you on what matters when you feel lost. It should be something that keeps you grounded when you miss a week, or maybe lose momentum. Or it can be that you're not sure of what the next step is. One method that centered you again and again, whether you're in shape or out of freedom, whether you're starting something new or maybe you're trying to rebuild. And that's exactly what I ended up creating. Because without a plan, society will hand you theirs. And guess what? Their plans will always leave you constantly almost there. So before we get tactical, pause. Get a notebook. No typing, no voice notes. Write down exactly what you want your life to feel like. Not what it looks like, what it feels like. Then break that down, decades to years, years to months, months to weeks and days. Figure out what matters today. Every morning, I personally write down 3 levers. Just 3 things that actually moves the needle. Because a dream without a clear lever is just anxiety waiting to happen. And also, there's one thing I see all the time. Guys overwhelmed by the big picture, but paralyzed when it's time to take action. So what happens? The day goes by, then the week, then the year. And this is not because they didn't care, but because they never broke it down. You've been assigned goals your entire life, from parents, school, bosses, algorithms. And those assignments shape everything. How you eat, how you train, how you sleep, how you even speak. You're even programmed on what to say yes to and what to ignore. Which means if you want to rewrite your story, you have to reclaim that authorship. And how do you do it? You start moving towards goals you choose with your body, your health, and your life. And I would even advise for you to document it and share it if it helps. And this is not because of achievement. It's basically because of alignment. After failing and starting over more times than I could count, I started noticing patterns. And I turned those patterns into a system. Something repeatable, something grounded, something you can return to when everything else feels like noise. Mine wasn't built from theory. It was built from trying, messing up, learning, and trying again. I kept pulling lessons from coaching, fitness, behavior change, masculine structure, and guess what? Life itself. And mind you, I still use it today. When I feel off, I don't scroll, I go back to the system. When I feel scattered, I don't chase motivation, I just go back to the levers. When I'm building content, designing a new plan, or just trying to figure out what to eat, that framework always kept me grounded. And chill, you're gonna get some. I will share how I did it. It starts with something simple, a clear image of the life you don't want. I call it the anti-vision. And this is not the stuffs you hate. These are the experiences, habits, thought patterns that drains you. Remember to get specific. Write it down. Always treat it like a checklist of what not to repeat. And from there, you build the opposite, a vision that pulls you. And guess what? You can always go back and change it. You can remove things that didn't matter as much as you thought. And you can also add new ones as your identity shifts. And that's the point. It won't be perfect, and it shouldn't be. A vision is supposed to evolve because that's how you keep growing. But guess what? Even a rough vision is better than none, because without a vision, every decision feels random. And when every decision feels random, discipline becomes impossible. So define it and keep redefining it. And when you do this, you have to layer in your mission, your standards, break it down into actual projects, study what you need to learn, set limitations that sharpen you and not suffocate you. Find your level, pull them daily, also respect challenges and stay curious. Don't also forget to experiment daily and always. You know it's working when things that used to drain you start to feel beneath you. And when that happens, don't be surprised if people start saying you have changed because you're supposed to. And that's because you stepped away not to disappear, but to return stronger, calmer, sharper, and unrecognizable. That's the real transformation. And it doesn't come with noise. It doesn't come with applause. It comes in the silence when nobody's clapping and you chose to keep going anyway. And if you've been training, eating clean, and still don't look the part, you don't need to work harder. You just need to follow the right framework. And that's exactly why I created the Iron Instinct. And because I see so many men in this trap, I created 2 clear paths to meet you where you are. So click the link in the description below to explore both options and choose the one that suits your goal best. One gives you structure and tools to build on your own. The other gives you coaching and direct support to accelerate your transformation. Pick what suits you best. Let's stop looking average and start building presence.